Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. All right, I'm the brother Yawanathan, back with another quick lesson. Lord willing, it's edifying. And this is going to be proof that the mark of the beast spoken about in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, is in fact a physical mark. All right, it's not metaphoric, it's not spiritual, it's not an allegory, it's a physical mark. And that's because it's the microchip implants, the RFID chip, which is going to be made mandatory for all humans, if you will, all citizens of the earth, according to the prophecy. Everybody's going to have to take this thing by decree, by law. And just as you see here, all right, from ABC 13, ABC News, whatever, Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, which was just 2 days ago, microchipping mandatory for all Houston dogs and cats starting February 1st. So my point is, if they could do that for animals, well, they could do that for people too. If they could make it mandatory for you to have to put this device inside of your pet, if you own a cat or a dog, well, they could do it for just about anything. And least we forget, Yuval Noah Harari, which is Charles Schwab or Carl Schwab, whatever, however the fuck you say his name, that demon, the head of the World Economic Forum, this is basically his understudy, right? This small hat devil right here. He's from the tribe of Amalek, this Edomite. Look what he said. He said humans are now hackable animals. So they look at you people as animals, not only just regular animals, hackable, or even what you would say customizable animals, if I could say that, where they pretty much have all these ideas on what they really want to do with you people, man. The whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and nobody knows what's happening inside them and they have free will, that's over. All right. So that's the mentality that these devils got, man. These devils that are rolling out this agenda of the international bankers of basically microchipping you. Because that's what the mark of the beast is. And we're going to get into the word Charagma because I did a little research on it, on the history of the word Charagma, which is the word for mark in Revelation. And you're going to see, that is a physical mark. This was an article from thesun.com. It was posted back in December 2022. Not that long ago, still pretty recent. From thesun.com, if I didn't already say it. And Lord willing, I'm going to link all these articles in the description box underneath the video. So it says, future perfect. Humans in 2100. First, I just got to stop there because that's Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. You know how far 2100 is, or the year 2100? We only in 2023, man. That's about 77 years from now. When this was published, 78 years. They talking about 78 years in the future, man. These devils, they really have that pride where they think they just gonna rule for this long or rule forever. And that's not so, because prophecy, man. Prophecy of the Holy Bible dictates time. Because the Lord Yahweh, through his son Yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ, have measured time through prophecy. That's how time is, it said he measured in, what is that, in 2nd Ezra 17? I'm just going to quote it. I don't want to misphrase it. Number, right? By measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times. That's 2nd Ezra 4 and 37. So time is already numbered and measured. It ain't this devil who numbered and measured it. It's Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi. And how do we know when we're at the end of times? When was the beginning of times? Well, through prophecy. That's a way to know. Measure the time diligently in itself. When you see part of the signs pass, which are prophecies, then you're going to know that the end is here. The end is being made manifest right now. All right, through these prophecies, through these devils talking so proudly about what humans in 2100 could be ageless bionic hybrids with downloadable brains as they transform into Elon Musk style cyborgs. Come on, man. And look at the picture. Look what it says first. Chip and brain connected to internet and AI. What is chip and brain? That's the mark in your forehead. All right, that's what that is. That's the vision of the future that they have for you people. You know, ageless face thanks to treatments. These people just think they're the most high, man. That they can just make this corruptible ass, decrepit flesh be ageless, be immortal. And by the way, this devil, I can't find the exact quote, but pretty sure if you Google it, he said we don't need Yahweh Shai, or as he said, Jesus Christ or whatever Christ, you know, whose true name is Yahweh Shai. They don't know that, or they didn't say that, but he said we don't need Yahweh Shai to achieve immortality. We're going to do it through our technology. And that's bullshit, all right? That's bullshit. There's only one way to everlasting life, and that's first you have to be an Israelite. Only Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the men and the women and children that come from the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Holy Bible, those are the only ones who is going to achieve immortality. And two, that's going to be only through Yahweh Shai. So these proud devils, man, they're really boasting in their wisdom, which is, you know, technology, AI, artificial intelligence, and all that. And ultimately, you know, we're going to read the prophecy. Matter of fact, let me go to it now, because we know that the mark is going to be used as something for currency. That's in the context of the vision that the Apostle John, or that as the Bible scholars call him, John the Revelator, which the word reveal or revelation means to reveal, which means to pull back the veil, to show the truth. What he was showing, which is what the dream that he had, he saw it in the context of people buying and selling with the mark, which shows you that what is going to be used as a form of currency. Now, got another article from fintech.global, and it says Universal Digital Payments Network unveiled at Davos. This is January 23rd, 2023. Okay, a Universal Digital Payments Network for stable coins and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, has been launched at the World Economic Forum in Davos. So how does this all tie in with the mark of the beast? Because this is a digital currency. This is a digital payment system that's being established right now. And we know that the mark being physical, which is the RFID microchip implant, is going to be that the vehicle that people are going to be using to buy and sell with these digital currencies that the central banks are unveiling, which that's a spiritual word, because that's basically what the word revelation means, to pull back the veil or unveil. So let's read the prophecy, all right? Because again, just because the Apostle John seen people buying and selling, is that the only use of this device? No. All right, this thing goes way beyond buying and selling, but it's beautiful how the Lord had him write this like this, because you know it's physical. How are you going to buy and sell something which is a physical act with something spiritual or metaphoric? You see, that doesn't make any sense just off of rip. So, but we're going to get into the word charagma in a second. All right, Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all. And we know that he is talking about the so-called white man and his rulership and his power, because you got to start at the first verse about the beast. You know, the beast represents a kingdom, which this beast in particular is a dragon. The Apostle John described it as a dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, which represents what? NATO and the EU. The 7 European nations and the 10 European nations that make up the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which they expanded to more than 10, by now, and the European Union, which is again expanded more than 7. But those are the original heads and horns of the ancient Roman Empire. All right, those countries that make up NATO and the EU today, or it used to be called the European Economic Community, the EEC. Through that system, Esau, which is the so-called white man, starting with the international bankers, because they're the ones that got the power. They own the central banking system, the international banking systems. That's how they rule the earth. You could say NATO is like their military might, and the European Union is like their economy. And through that system together, through them Edomites who come together like that to form this beast, and America is a big part of that. Okay, the whore that rideth upon the beast, that's mystery Babylon, America, Babylon the Great. That's how they rule the world, and that's how they're going to cause all, because that just shows you right there is going to be made a decree. Let me see if there's anything on that word causeth. He causeth all. G 4160. Well, it says to be the authors of a thing. That's exactly what they are. Yeah, it doesn't really say much, but to do cause. That's a good one, because they also call laws causes. Well, there's not much on that word in particular, but what it means by he causeth, like even said, to make, to bring forth, to be the author of something, it means it's going to be made a law. That's Isaiah 10:1. Let me get that real quick. Slakia. And it also says in the book of Psalm, I think it's 94, Psalm 94, if I'm not mistaken, who maketh mischief by law. It says that. You could punch that in the word search. Who maketh mischief by law, or by a law. So that's what these devils do. They pass laws to forward their agendas, and that's what the scripture is talking about here. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. All right, what's the unrighteous decree? What's the grievousness? Their laws. They're prescribing it. They're writing it. They're putting it in act. All right. They also have executive orders, in which are basically laws that override other laws or override constitutional laws and things like that. Amendments are basically edits on the Constitution. Well, we made this law, we can't undo the law, so we're just going to amend part of it or make it more detailed with an amendment. And that's all these devils do. They just consistently make unrighteous decrees and right grievousness. They prescribe these laws that pretty much, it says it here, to turn aside the needy from judgment. Who's the needy? The Israelites. The laws are really designed against us, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're the ones that really feel the negative effects of this law system. All right, because we're the Israelites and we're in captivity. This is our curses. Our enemy is ruling over us. Our chief enemy, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the devil. And to take away the right from the poor of my people. So how do you decree a decree, which is a law, or they would call them rights, but the laws are to take away rights from us. See, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's how they created, it tells you in Micah 2, that they oppress a man even in his own home. That's how they created these single parent households, these single mother households, so they could prey on the women, on the weak women of our nation. You see, that they may rob the fatherless. So then a woman raises up a weak child, and guess what? That child becomes a victim, so to speak, to this world and to this corruptible system that we are part of, which the word system, I remember Elder Apostle Gabar going into it, means pit. And that's exactly what this place is, man. It's a big ditch or a pit for the Israelites, for us to fall and be destroyed. That's what these law systems are created to be. And it's no different from the mark. And he calls it all, back in Revelation 13:16, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So what is that mark? When you go into the word mark, all right, he's going to cause all. It's going to be a law. It doesn't matter what your social, economic, or whatever class of people you are, doesn't matter. Your status of person doesn't matter under this particular law. All right, it's not exempt for the rich. It's not exempt for celebrities and politicians. It's not exempt for nobody. Even homeless people, even people in jail, prisoners, are going to be subject to this law whenever they decide to decree it. The word for mark is G5480. We always bring this out, Charagma. Now, what I did was I ended up copying this right here, right? I took the Greek characters and I typed it in on Google. I pasted it on Google. And you're going to be, well, maybe, maybe not, but it's some really juicy information, man, that I want to bring out through the Spirit. So it says a stamp, an imprinted mark. That's the first definition off the bat. First definition is something physical. A stamp and an imprinted mark is something physical. And why does the word charagma mean something physical? We're going to go into it. Now it says 1A of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. Now, remember the blue letter, these are just men. You know, yeah, they're scholars. You know, they did their research. They did, went into the history and put this site together. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Washai, Elder Apostle Tahar found the site. And this is beautiful. This is a wonderful tool for edifying of the elect. But they go off. There's not one Antichrist. All right. 1 John, the 2nd chapter, explains that there's many Antichrists, not just one. So, if they're trying to say that it's going to be one man that makes this decree, and that's the he that is talking about that causeth all, they're going off on that. But it's in a metaphoric sense of you taking that charagma, that RFID chip, you are pledging your allegiance to following Esau, to following the devil, the so-called white man, Satan. You are doing that because the Most High said not to do it. He gave you the judgment in Revelation 14:9 and 10 through the vision that the Apostle John had. He gave you the judgment on those that take the mark. So yeah, if you take that mark, you pretty much telling the Most High to kiss your you-know-what. And for that, you're going to be destroyed. So you can say that the representation of the RFID chip and what it means if you take it, there is something spiritual. There is a metaphoric or spiritual meaning behind it. But the physical word mark itself and the mark that is going to be administered through the law is not physical. It's not, it's not spiritual. Slip of the tongue. It's not a spiritual thing. How could they decree something spiritual? What are they going to say? If you don't bow down and kiss this image of Caesar Borgia, you can't come into the supermarket? How is it going to be something physical but something spiritual at the same time? That doesn't make sense. It's a physical mark, but if you take it, the spiritual aspect behind it is you're going to be destroyed because you don't believe in Yahweh Shema Washai, and you turn your back on the Lord, and you rather follow the so-called white man who is Satan. And here it reaffirms that it's physical. The mark branded upon horses. Is there anything spiritual about a mark branded upon a horse? No. What does it represent? See, that's where you guys, you're not understanding this thing, man. A lot of you Israelites out there, you're not understanding this whole thing. When you brand a horse, that represents that it's your property. That's the only metaphoric or, other meaning behind it. Outside of it being a physical mark branded. You have to physically brand that horse with your mark so that everyone could know that it's your horse. That's a physical mark that has a meaning behind it. Yes, it says those that worship the beast in his image. You could say that's spiritual, but even on a physical level, you got to do things according to this world to worship the beast in his image, which is his system. You got to be a part of this world, which is physical. But yes, of course, everything starts in your mind. You giving over your mind to the beast. You worshiping the beast. You worshiping this so-called white man's world. Of course. But you're going to have to signify that to him by receiving a carnal physical mark, which is the RFID chip. It also says a thing carved, sculpture, graven work. And they get that from the use of the word in Acts 17 and 29, which is talking about idols, which again, is an idol spiritual? No, it's nothing spiritual about an idol. It's physical. It's 100% physical. It's something that literally was made from elements, and people worship it. All right, an idol. Now, like I said, I copied and pasted the word charagma, and one of the first things that stood out to me when I looked it up was the Wiktionary definition. All right, so this is like Wikipedia, but it'll go a little deeper into certain words. It's like a dictionary, but it goes deeper into the history of the words and all of that. Now check this out. The word charagma, all right, it's pretty much the same thing as what is said in the blue letter, right? Number one definition is any engraved and printed or branded mark. Physical, all physical. See? Stamped money, coin, physical. Mark, stamp, character, endorsement. That's all physical, man. That's all physical things. A coin is a physical currency, right? And if you put, like, you go to your nickel, I don't know exactly the faces that are on it, but I know it's Edomites, maybe presidents or whatever, it's whose face is on the money, whose face is stamped on the money. Caesar, like Yahweh Shai, there's a scripture on that in the Gospels. Well, the whole book is a gospel, but you know what I mean. There's a point where Yahweh Shai told him, look at the money, whose face is on the money. Basically could have said, who's Charagma on the money? Because that thing was engraved on the coin, on the silver or gold or whatever element it was. It was engraved on it. Now, if they're saying they're going to engrave you, what the hell does that mean? You have to receive this mark. It said he's going to cause all to get engraved in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell. So if you don't have this mark, you can't buy or sell. So how do they know if you got the mark or not? See, it makes perfect sense that it's a microchip, because going back to this article, it tells you why they're putting this law or whatever, man. It tells you why they're putting this law that all pets have to be microchipped, because they could track them. They got all their records. It tells you exactly why, man. This fucking page is so large for some reason. I'm not even going to read it, but, you could go read it yourself or do research on it yourself. When they microchip pets, that's basically like a GPS and to keep the records, man, of the pet, to keep the shots, and all of that. The V records, same way with the COVID thing. Now, mind you, didn't they make that law? Didn't they make, I didn't even mean to say that. It's like, I hope they don't take the video down now because of that. But either way, whatever, it's a spirit. When they brought out that C-19 jab, was it not by law? Did they not put forth certain laws and decrees for people to get that thing, man? Was that able to let you buy and sell? No. So we know that's not the mark. It's a prelude to the mark, but it's not the mark. The mark is going to be something that if you do not have it, you cannot buy and sell, which means you can't do any transaction in this man's world, which shows you that is going to be a digital society, a digital world, man. So when you go down to further reading, right, they go to actual sources. So you have the Greek English lexicon, right, from Oxford, and the Clarendon Press printed that one, I guess, in Linden and Scott, 1940. But if you go to the older version, even if you go to the 1941, there's good definitions. But I just want to get straight to this point. You click on this word charagma right here, right? In Linden and Scott, 1889, an intermediate Greek English lexicon, New York. It was published in New York, Harper and Brothers. Let's click on it. This is what their definition is in the intermediate Greek English lexicon from Oxford, over there. I think that's in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, by Henry George Little and Robert Scott. They put this together, right? Did the research and all that. This is what the word charagma means. Check this out. Any mark engraven or imprinted, it's physical. It doesn't say nothing about no spiritual, you worshiping him with your mind. So you're taking a mark in your head, and with your right hand you enact upon. It doesn't say that. It says a mark engraven or imprinted. Imprinted is basically the chip, man, because they have to imprint your skin. They have to puncture through your skin to put that thing inside your body, man. Remember, John was not seeing something in the Roman Empire. He was seeing something in the last days, in the latter days. When he was seeing that vision was of the latter days. It wasn't of the Roman Empire. All right? He wasn't talking about in ancient Rome this was going to happen. He was talking about in this time it was going to happen. But guess what? Did he have the vocabulary of this time? Did he know what an RFID chip was in his time? No. So he used a word that best described it in the ancient Roman Empire, which the prominent language in the ancient Roman Empire was Greek. All right, and then Latin. Look what it says, man. I'm going to zoom in just in case you can't see. Maybe you got to open your eyes. The serpent's mark, its bite. So even at particular times, if a serpent bit you, they would say that's a charagma. But look how spiritual that is, man. Who's the serpent in the Bible? The so-called white man. And this is his mark. The serpent's mark, or the mark of the beast, or the mark of the devil, or the mark of Esau. You can all put it all in the same. The mark of Satan. The mark of the so-called white man. The mark of the international bankers. The mark of the Rothschilds. The mark of the Rockefellers. Who's the serpent? Who's the beast, man? And what is it that he wants to implant you with or imprint you with that he's telling you right here, man. Let me go back to the image. Humans are now hackable animals. What the hell does that mean, man? How do you hack something through technology? Is the RFID chip not technology? Look what else it says. Carved work, the impress on the coin, an inscription. And because the word charagma, when you break it down further, when you go deeper into the word in Revelation, it goes back to the word karax, which is, to basically stab something, a pail or a stake, a palisade, which is used to puncture something. And then when you go into the root word of that, it says grapho, which means information or writings. Because that's also what they would do. They would charagma things on inscription, on coins, on paper, hieroglyphs and things like that. That's also part of charagma, but they want to charagma you. They want to put that thing inside of you. And look at this website. It's called abarimpublications.com. And it looks like some Hebrew, maybe some Amalek style type of thing. And it's a lot of things that go off, and I just want to get straight to the point. But it says it's a verb. Charagma is a verb. All right. Generally karaso is a verb. I don't even think this is the word charagma, slakia. But it's very similar. It's like saying to cut or to scrape. It's like two similar things, but they could slightly differ. When you have different words, using them in different contexts. I don't think that's the word charagma. I got it right here. 1 second. It's not the word charagma, but look at the similarities of the word. Look at the similarities of the word. And it does mention charagma here. I just got to find it. Even mentions grapho. Look. But it says karaso generally means to make pointed or to sharpen or to scratch or cut into furrows. Yeah, I don't know why this popped up because I had the word charagma. There we go. The noun charagma, slakia. Pardon me. The word karaso is the verb of the word charagma, which is a noun. The word charagma, which is a noun, it says, which describes an engraving of any kind, any marking, brand, imprint, or impression, or an item engraved like a tablet or a piece of pottery, but also an idol or icon. So what? They created that mark, that chip, right? The RFID chip is the charagma. They made that, it crafted it, and guess what? They're gonna put that inside of you. All right, they're gonna put whatever information is in that thing is gonna connect to you. It's gonna be placed inside of you. And yeah, they pretty much went into like a decent breakdown of it. But what I'm starting to notice is, see, you Israelites, you scoff at the apostles of Great Millstone. You say the apostles are Alex Jones and little funny, goofy ass shit, right? Well, guess what? Most of the Christian breakdowns, the breakdowns of the mark of the beast of Christianity is what you niggas are saying. That is spiritual. It's following the world. It's, they don't mention Esau, the so-called white man. So you guys are a little deeper than the average Christian, but you not on no level. You getting your breakdowns from this devil, man, which shows that you niggas sold out, man. I believe that firmly. I believe that you niggas sold the fuck out. Because why is your breakdown so similar to the breakdown of these small hats of what the mark is? And these so-called Christian leaders, why is it so similar? Why is your breakdown basically on par with what they're saying? See, it says nowadays the cross is the trademark of Christianity, such and such. So they're saying the same way how the cross is like the trademark of Christianity, the mark is also like the trademark of the beast. What type of bullshit is that, man? You don't see so-called Christians today getting put up on crosses, do you? That was a thing of the ancient Roman Empire. That was capital punishment. It wasn't only Yahushua that suffered that death. He just suffered it the worst. They marred him more than any man. It tells you that in the prophecy of Isaiah 53. All right? But look what it also says here. In the word charagma. Rather, notably, the bite of a serpent was termed the serpent's mark. And then they're saying, which is not without parallel to Revelation. And guess what? Let me show you something real quick. I'm not even going to read it, but there should be a picture up on Google because I found it before. I want to show you something. This is side by side of the tips of a hypodermic needle, a viper's fang, the fang of a spider, and the stinger of a scorpion. The first one is a needle. Look at the needle. First of all, look at the needle. The next one is a viper's fang. You see that? Is that not the same thing as a needle, man? And something comes out of this little tip over here. What comes out of the tip of the needle? The charagma. What comes out of the tip of the needle of the serpent? Venom. Of the viper, venom, poison. All right, so this is very spiritual how this word charagma, 2 times in the Oxford, in the intermediate Greek English lexicon from Oxford, printed in 1889, has a very similar definition to this website here, which I don't know where they get the source of their information from, but how you going to tell me that's not in there? That the word charagma also is synonymous with the serpent's mark, or the bite of a serpent. Who's the serpent and what's his bite? Is Esau. He's trying to bite you with that microchip, man. And they also went into the word karax. You see? Which hails back to the original meaning of the parent verb, namely that of to make sharp, as it describes any kind of pointy stake, but mostly those from which the Romans made their siege works. So again, he was only explaining it the best way he can with the vocabulary that he had. I'm talking about Apostle John on the island of Patmos. So he saw the same way how they stabbing they stabbing the earth with them palisades, they making sure it's extra sharp, and they puncturing the ground with it. He said they're going to do that to people. He saw them doing that to people, man. Putting something in their body with a needle. Slack it, man. I'm fucking excited, man. I came across this information. This boosted my faith. Now, this is another website from archive.gci.org. And, you know, they call themselves breaking down the mark. They got the IUIC breakdown. They got the ISUPK breakdown. And the WFI camp breakdown. Fuck them, man. But the point is, look at this. The charagma also was a type of brand. In Roman times, disobedient slaves were often branded with marks of ownership, much like cattle are today. I'm going to drop the mic on that. I don't have nothing else to say, man. If you cannot see that the charagma is physical and it is the RFID microchip implant, which they want to brand you with. They want to, what did it say here? Salakia, just was on it. Yeah, branded. That's the best word to use. Disobedient slaves were often branded with marks of ownership, with charagmas of ownership. We're just showing you what? This is the digital mark. This is the digital charagma. This is the modern charagma. Back then, you would be branded with some type of symbol. I believe the worshippers of Dionysus, when you go into the history, got to go into the history. Now it's going to be those that worship the beast, which is this modern world, which is basically the ancient Roman Empire. If you understand, you know, the ancient Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, back now with technology, back, you know, so-called better than ever, right? They're going to brand you with the chip, the microchip. That's a modern day branding. You're the modern day cattle. You are now the hackable animal. All right. They don't see you as people. They look at you as goyim. That's what they call you. That's what the international bankers, that's a Yiddish word for cattle or cow, you know, livestock, goyim. All right. They're telling you right to your face, man. This thing is not hidden. It's not a mystery. It's just the Lord is blinding 2/3 of you Israelites and the rest of the world from seeing it. But we could see it, man. Dawadi Habashim Yashar. We could see it, and the Spirit's working with us. Because look, we're going into the information, man. We're bringing out the proof that the word charagma is physical. It's a physical mark. There ain't nothing spiritual about it. And it is, in fact, the RFID or NFC microchip implant, depending on where you at in the earth. It's the microchip. And don't take it. So with that, I'm going to say, Call halal Yahweh Shem El Shai B'Ashem Rakak Wadash. Hope and pray you brothers, you few sisters were edified through the Holy Spirit. And Lord willing, I see you in the next lesson. Shalom.